Perfectly Obstinate People with Kathy Kolbe shares stories of resilience, persistence, and defiance. Kathy Kolbe has empowered millions to trust their guts. Now Kathy empowers you to be you.
A resolution ought not to be a wish, a desire, or belief, or something you feel you should do. A resolution should be a commitment, and a commitment is a conative. It's a conative commitment of your time and energy. And we might be better, instead of saying resolution meaning I'm determined to do it, it really should be these are my New Year's commitments. This is what I'm going to put on the calendar. This is what I'm going to do with my energy. This is where I'm going to put my effort. These are the things I'm going to guarantee to myself and others I'm going to get done.
You've created a model that deals with degrees of effort, the Kolbe hierarchy of human effort. It helps me understand your point that a New Year's resolution, which is merely an intention, isn't likely to happen.
If you don't start off by saying I'm committed to the time and energy, then a resolution is just a desire, and it's kind of meaningless.
So one of the most common New Year's resolutions is to lose weight.
People think that because it's New Year's, they're going to start over. They're going to start again. They're going to change. Well, we don't change. We are who we are. So what we need to do is be absolutely persistent and determined to be ourselves. That type of obstinance we can live with, and we can succeed, and we can actually do what we said we were going to do. If your resolution is to do something that goes against your grain, and you have to do it in ways that don't work for you, then don't bother making a resolution. It's not going to happen. And then you're just going to feel bad. Once again, you didn't do it. If you want to lose weight, first of all, Amy Bruschi and I are going to write a book about how to lose weight by MO. So I'm not going to try now to tell you how to do it, but I will tell you, if you want to lose weight, we will be telling you how you can be obstinate by being yourself and lose the weight. That's an overriding principle. Anytime you say, I am going to do this, it's not the goal that stops you. It's the process of getting there. If you don't pick a process to do something that fits who you are, fits your natural MO, your way of getting something done, then it's just not going to happen.
There's another resolution that's common. I know that gym club memberships are going to go up around the first of the year. People are going to try to get healthy, and so they're going to join a gym, and that's their resolution, is to, work out more and get healthier. Isn't there a way to do that, no matter what your MO is, or is it only for some people going to work?
Again, it goes back to not what you're doing, but how you're doing it. Too often, gym memberships don't come with any awareness of who you are or how to individualize for who you are. No one is going to thrive and suddenly start going to the gym regularly and succeeding in things they've never done by doing it against their conative grain. The key is to find a gym, find a situation that allows you to do it your natural way. It's not always the way you want to do it. We're not talking about desire. It's the way you need to. So, for instance, a follow-through needs regularly scheduled exercise, needs a plan, needs a list, needs to check it off. A resistant follow-through will not last more than 2 or 3 weeks with that kind of a plan. They need to go in and try things out and see what works, and they need to develop a habit, maybe, because a habit is not conative. It's an affective and cognitive. You repeat it often enough that it's learned behavior, and you care enough that you'll keep doing it. But conatively, you have to have more than just a habit. You have to have a need to do it the way you're doing it. So, yes, you can create habits, and yes, you'll follow habits, but only if you worked really, really hard to build them. To just go in and say, I'm going to do this, that doesn't create a habit. If you say, I'm going to go in and I'm going to be me, and I'm going to try different equipment, because for me, I'm a quick start. I want to try everything out. I want to see how much can I do, how fast can I do it. And don't tell me I have to slow down and I have to pace myself, because that's not what I do. Quick starts are all in or all out. And with the implementer, not any gym is going to work. They have to go someplace that has really hardy, stable, sturdy equipment. The place has to have the right heft to it. It has to have the right quality of equipment. For the follow-through, yeah, they're better at creating a habit, but if they get in there and they see dirt or they see a little change in the routine or something that isn't working this time, that disruption, that mess, that little bit of distraction will keep them from being regulars there. And that'll be their reason for dropping out. There's so many reasons to drop out because things don't happen the way it needs to for you. And you say, well, get over it. You need to do it. Just, tough it out and go do it. But that's why people don't stick with what they say are a commitment, because there's this ingrained need that isn't being met, and that will override any kind of a resolution that you might make for New Year's, or I promise you that I'll be your workout buddy. Well, it better have the right stuff cognitively or it's not going to happen.
So one of the things about resolutions is we're generally trying to improve on something about ourselves that we're not happy with. And my resolution might be to be more organized next year. But it sounds like what you're saying is that we're picking either the wrong resolution, or we're not doing it in a way that's going to work for us.
Nothing is more foolhardy than a resolution to stop being who you are. That's like saying, I'll starve myself to death. You're not going to do it. You're too sensible to do that. And you just don't go in the direction that you're trying to force you into. If you say you're going to do something that is totally against your cognitive grain, deep down you know it won't work. So why not make a resolution to, I'm going to be free to be myself. I'm going to work at being me. And the ways I'm going to do it is by using my natural way of getting things done to improve in areas that have been a mystery to me before, or been hard for me before. Make it easy on yourself. When I do a diet, because of my quick start, it's one of those things I'm all in. Okay, I am literally going to eat almost nothing and I will lose weight. And people say, that's not healthy. My answer is, yeah, but I did it. And eating what you call a healthy way is a slow slog that I won't keep with. So I'm going to do it a way that works for me in the healthiest adaptation of that as possible. But part of the problem with the world of health is they think we're all follow-throughs. And we're all going to follow a regimen. We're all going to do it in an orderly way. And we're going to keep the little notebook. And we're write down the numbers. And we're going to have to weigh this and do that. And the same time this. And oh, please. That's follow-through people telling we should all be follow-throughs. And then the fact finders who've researched it say, oh, and if you eat exactly this portion of that and you weigh it and you do the other things with great precision, it will work. Well, if I have to weigh all my food before I eat it, I have lost my appetite before I start. I mean, that just destroys food. The point is always that you will succeed by being who you are. And if you set yourself up for failure, it's not going to work, and then you're going to be doubly unhappy. Why would you set yourself up for failure? Well, because unfortunately, the so-called experts have told us it's only their way that works. They haven't told us what our way is. If you haven't known your MO, you haven't known what your way is. You haven't known how to refute what they're saying. What I'm saying is be obstinate and only say you're going to do things in a way that will work for you. Don't set yourself up for failure. Don't commit to or have a resolution to do something that will be pure agony and is not likely to work.
So with my resolution of getting more organized, because I do know my MO and I do know that I am not naturally organized, it sounds like a better resolution would be to be more accepting of how I am with organization and to embrace my talent. Is that what you're saying?
I'm not going to give you an excuse for being a slob. No, this is not an excuse. And no, it's not okay if all your work flows over onto the floor of your neatnik wife's kitchen. No, I am saying don't make a resolution that you will become a follow-through or like a follow-through in that you create systems. Instead, make a resolution that you will work on a workaround. So for you, instead of saying, I'm going to become more organized, because you're not, you can be absent and say, I'm going to figure out a way to have my lack of organization not interfere with my wife or my work. So whatever about my disorganization is bugging her or is keeping me from succeeding on projects, I will figure out a solution that doesn't have to be a repeated, constant agony for me. I will figure out the shortcuts, the workarounds, the how else could I make this work. So you're going to get creative and use your quick start to find a way to do things that are, in a way, conables, that word I love so much that I made up for the tips and tricks to get around having to be something you aren't. You aren't trying to change who you are. You're being obstinate about, I am me. I'm not going to change who I am, but I am going to find ways so that what I do isn't harmful to me or anyone else.
Another resolution that kind of pops into my brain around this time, because, tax time is also coming up, is things around like retirement planning.
Well, there is a resolution that I think everybody should have, and that is a resolution that says, I'm going to do a worst case scenario for this next year and for the rest of my life, depending upon our ages, how far ahead we need to plan, and also our family situation. If you have dependent people, then you've got different issues. I think when we are obstinate about being ourselves, we have to be obstinate about taking care of not only our mental and emotional needs, but to do that, financial. If you don't have the right insurance or savings and other financial things put in place, then you're going to run out of options. So best you get on top of that. I believe there are a couple critically important things to do with it. The first one is always look at the worst case scenario. What is the worst thing that could happen this year in your life that would cause financial problems or burdens to you or others? Then look at the estate planning and other things you've done to see whether it's covered. Are you okay in the worst case scenario? Once you are okay with that, then you can start looking at, okay, now I have some plan Bs and maybe some plan Cs. If all goes well, here are some things I can do. So how far out on a limb am I willing to go with a plan B? And maybe that's some travel, maybe that's redecorating, reconstructing, moving, whatever it is. But you've got to look very careful at the options within that to be sure you aren't going to make so many changes or commitments, because when we start talking about resolutions, we're also talking about commitments. What are you committing to do this year? Are those commitments too costly? And would the cost of doing them be too great? There's a freedom that comes with having the coverage, the assets, the insurance. There's a reason for that term, from medical and fire and all the things that can have types of insurance. Be sure you're properly covered and be sure it's with reputable people. Once you have done that, then you can spread your wings a little further and you can say, okay, I'm going to be committed to adding in some things I might not normally do just for the heck of it to see what happens, for the fun of it. And so I'm not used to traveling out of the country, but I'm going to do it because I'm okay financially and health, etc. And I can do it, or I'm okay to skydive, or I'm okay to whatever. But I think too often people forget that moment when they make a decision to do something they don't usually do could change their lives if they don't plan for the worst case scenario. And you always want to look at how much security do I have for the freedom to be me? I'm always looking for freedom. Freedom to be yourself is more important than money.
One of the things I've heard you talk about in terms of conation is that all we can give is our time and our energy. So resolutions, should they be commitments to either time or energy to something?
It's so funny you just asked that, because I'm sitting here in front of our Venn diagram that you and I worked on that shows the percentage of time and effort we're going to put into different projects that we're working on in the next 12 months. And when I look at it, there are a lot of things in here that I care about, much more than some of the big circle things. The biggest circles on my Venn diagram are things that are a combination of obligation, desire, and need for myself or others. Some of the smallest things, smallest circles, smallest time and effort that I'll be able to give to it are things I want so much to do, but I can't do them next year in all probability. They're here because I hope to get to it, but I've got to get the other things done before I can do those. And all too often people get caught up in, this is what I really want to do this year, I'm going to do this. Yeah, but what are the prior conditions and what are the impacts on other people? And what are you obligated to or do you need to do in order to make that happen and happen well? I don't think enough people even know how to do a Venn diagram to figure out how to chop up that circle of time and energy into the pieces and see where they overlap. I love doing the things that overlap. So I can be learning and serving and doing and teaching instead of just one of those things. I see the creative process as starting with desire. So you have to want to do it. You have to believe in it, and you have to believe that it's important enough that you're going to commit the time and energy. And then that conative piece that is the percentage of time and energy has to be tied to who you are and that you have that energy to do it. And then you need to edit it and say, well, is it realistic? Do I have the funds? Is this truly doable? What are the conditions that are going to interfere with it? That cognitive piece should come last. That's where it fits in the Kolbe creative process. If you start by trying to think through all the problems and do the pros and cons, you will rarely create a solution. You'll just go back and forth. Well, maybe this or maybe that or no, that, but yeah, but that. And then you just argue with yourself all the time and other people. If you don't use that cognitive until the end of the process, then you're still acting responsibly in terms of the cognitive thought, but you're making thinking a part of, not apart from creativity. When we talk about New Year's things we want to change in our life and do better. So if for the new year, I want to be more of, less of, or different than. So the improvements I want to make are commitments, and I am committing my conative abilities, and that means my conative time and energy to doing things. These are my commitments or guarantees. They're only resolutions because I'm sufficiently desirous of doing it that I'm interested in even talking about it or thinking about it. So there is a resolution that is the affect. But if I don't kick into the conative and make it a commitment, it will never become a reality.
I just wonder if it's even possible to have a New Year's resolution that actually somebody actually does.
The answer is absolutely, positively yes. And I've seen you do it, and you've seen me do it, and we've seen kids do it, and coworkers do it, and clients do it. Because when you have a resolution to do something and you make it a conative commitment and it fits who you are, and you edit it and say, yes, I have the resources, those are the things that get done. And we have seen many wonderful growth and determined effort situations of this sort that have come to fruition and been absolutely fantastic.
Thanks for listening to Perfectly Obstinate People with Kathy Kolbe. Make sure you subscribe today so you don't miss an episode. It's easy, 100% free, and 100% Kathy. Visit perfectlyobstinate.com for more. That's perfectlyobstinate.com.